The Ministry of Economic Development and Trade is trying to resolve the issue of the release of Ukrainian metallurgical products from US duties. The new Italian government may close the steel plant which was going to acquire ArcelorMittal. American steel duties will not allow the British metallurgical sector to recover. The main events in the metal market of the past week in the weekly review of Metal News. The program is supported by the Techenergoprom group. According to the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade of Ukraine, Deputy Minister Trade Representative of Ukraine, Natalia Mikolskaya, during a working visit to the United States, will discuss with representatives of the Ministry of Trade removing Ukraine from the protective duties on metal products. The main theme of the planned bilateral meetings is the exclusion of the restrictive measures of Ukrainian metallurgical products imposed by the United States, the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade indicates in the message. As the ministry's press service recalled, last year Ukraine exported metal products to the USA in the amount of $175.6 million. In 2016, $89.7 million. In 2015, $119.6 million. This is flat and long products, pipe products, semi-finished products. On 23rd of March 2018, the US duty on Ukraine was 25% for steel imports and 10% for aluminium imports. The document also provides the possibility of excluding or revising the terms or rates of the protective duty for individual countries if they have important links with the United States in the security sector. In particular, according to the results of bilateral agreements, Australia, Argentina, Brazil and Korea have already been excluded from such tariffs. Prices for billets from the CIS continue to decline due to reduced demand in most areas. Some suppliers are willing to give discounts, so they manage to sell the lots for export. Working prices for billets from the CIS decreased to $495 per ton for black SFC versus $495–500 per ton of the previous week. Electrostal managed to sell 10,000 tons to trader at $495 per ton for Mariupol. In addition, NLMC sold 10,000 tons at $495 per ton for Black Sea to Turkey. Meanwhile, some other suppliers prefer to insist on high quotes, sounding offers up to $510 per ton for Black Sea, in particular from Russia. Euraz Nizhnetagilsky MC in June will continue to reduce the export of semi-finished products, which is connected with the repair work in the oxygen converter shop that is being carried out from the end of May. As a result, the export of both slabs and square billets will be reduced. Shipments of slabs will decrease by 20% compared to May, up to 92,000 tons. It is planned to ship about 36,000 tons, 36% less in May, to foreign assets of the holding to the spot market in the Czech Republic, Mexico, Taiwan, 56,000 tons. This is 6% less. Deliveries of square billet are planned at the level of 19,000 tons against 21,000 tons in May. The main directions of implementation will be Taiwan and Turkey. For 5 months of 2018, Euraz and TMK exported 117,000 tons of commodity square billet, 42% less in the annual comparison, and 422,000 tons of slabs, 24% less. Slab suppliers from the CIS returned to the market for the next rounds of sales but didn't receive sufficient support from buyers in Europe and Turkey. As a result, exporters began to assess their opportunities in the Asian market, taking into account that prices in the Far East are higher than in the Black Sea region, and in the near future they can begin sales in this direction. In addition, producers from the CIS will benefit from difficulties with the supply of Iranian products. Prices for slabs of July production from the CIS were announced at $510 to $515 per ton for Black Sea, which is $20 per ton less than in mid-May. The main reason for the decline was the lack of demand for traditional destinations, mainly in the European Union and Turkey, partly due to devaluation of the lira and the euro. Nevertheless, information on transactions concluded at this level has not yet been received. Market participants report that some offers from Ukraine were voiced at $540 per ton CFR Italy, which corresponds to about $515–520 per ton for Black Sea. However, counter-offers were much lower. In addition, Severstal tried to sell material at $525 per ton for Baltic Sea, but also did not sign contracts at this level. After the imposing of U.S. protective duties under Article 232, there was an ambiguous situation in the markets of the European Union. The period of uncertainty associated with the European Union's protective investigation may soon come to an end, as in July the European Commission will consider the issue of taking preliminary measures. Despite the fact that a full-scale trial will last 9 months, the European Union may impose preliminary restrictions of import of steel from third countries already in July. According to WTO rules, the European Union can introduce a preliminary tariff for up to 200 days before the end of the investigation. Europe can take advantage of this option to protect the domestic market, as the results of the preliminary investigation show that the growth of imports poses a threat to the European Union steel sector. We can take pre-measures in July already. This is what we are going to discuss. We want to see the preliminary outcomes of the investigation. It is possible, European Union Trade Commissioner Cecilia Malmström told Reuters. Meanwhile, market sources do not exclude that quotas may be introduced instead of duties. Insiders believe that the likelihood of introducing preliminary restrictions in the European Union is extremely high. In the first quarter of 2018, imports of coins from third countries to the EU increased by 15% in annual comparison to more than 2 million tons, despite all the obstruction measures. At the same time, the supply of cold-rolled coils to the European Union during the period under review decreased by 7% to 625,000 tons, according to official EU statistics. Shipments from China and India are falling, but at the same time, volumes from Vietnam, Brazil and Ukraine are increasing. Imposing duties on steel and aluminium in the United States will prevent the restoration of the British steel sector, once United Kingdom Steel. The association calls on the British government to help the European Commission to ensure full and permanent exemption from duties for the European Union. After the imposing of tariffs, the British-made steel exported to the United States will be subject to a duty of 25%. This will have a negative impact on the competitive positions of British companies and will significantly reduce their ability to export products to the United States and will negate the emerging rise of the British metallurgical sector, said United Kingdom Steel Director Gareth Stace. He stressed that the effect of the duties is already palpable. In particular, in the first quarter of this year, the increase in steel imports in the European Union amounted to 8.4%. As a result, in order to maintain market stability, it is necessary to provide reliable protective measures. United Kingdom Steel asked the British government to assist British companies who are looking for ways to release products from duties and help with the promotion of similar proposals in the United States Department of Commerce, Gareth Stace said. It is worth noting that, according to local media reports, British Prime Minister Theresa May will discuss United States duties on steel and aluminium with the US President this week. The outlook for Italy's biggest metallurgical company, Ilva, which should be transferred to the ownership of the transnational group ArcelorMittal, remains uncertain. The current ruling parties of the country, the League and the Five Star Movement, forming a coalition, hinted in their election campaign about the possible closure of the Ilva metallurgical plant in Taranto, in the south of Italy, due to the high level of environmental pollution. In addition, according to Italian media reports, until the position of the new government is clarified, ArcelorMittal negotiations with trade unions are suspended. In May of this year, at the plant, after almost a year's idle time, the thick plate mill was relaunched. In June, it was supposed to receive more than 100,000 tons of products, but further prospects of Vilva remain unclear. Earlier, in order to obtain the right to acquire an Italian company, the management of ArcelorMittal undertook to sell a number of sheet metal production enterprises in 6 European countries before the end of this year. You are watching Metal News review for the week. Indicative prices for the current positions by the end of the reporting week look like this. You have watched the weekly review of Metal News. Your subscription to the channel and clicking on the bell will allow you to be aware of the main events of the total metal market every week.